You ever faced an obstacle that you felt was insurmountable? It might be financial obstacles, relationship obstacles, health obstacles, weight obstacles. I mean, it doesn't matter. We all have certain obstacles that we would like to overcome in our lives. The problem is we might stay stuck in the obstacle itself. So would you like to discover how to actually outgrow it altogether? Well, this video will tell you exactly how to do it through the hidden power of your own imagination. So let's get right into it. Alright, brothers and sisters, there's a power within you that can radically change your reality around. We always indicate and we call it imagination. But in today's video I wanted to get into the basics of how you can actually start working with your imagination. Because many people suffer from the assumption they operate with the idea that they're not creative people. Now I've said this before on a video, in my books as well. You know, the issue people face is that they are using their creativity to create limitations, to create worries, doubts, fears of any kind inside their own consciousness, and therefore their reality doesn't change around for the better nearly as much as they would like it to change, because there's always stuff that we would like to change, but where do we start? Well, we start with our imagination. Now when we talk about the imagination, a very simple way of looking at this, it might even seem too simple to you what I'm about to tell you, but I hope you take it serious, is as follows. Let's suppose you're inside your home. Right now I'm sitting in my home. I can look around, I can see stuff where I'm like, For example, I like to change this around. I like to change my home around. I might not like what it looks like. I might not like the way my furniture is standing in the home. Where is it gonna go? Well, we already subconsciously create an idea, a picture in the mind. We are actually doing this subconsciously through our imagination. We build a picture in our mind of what we would like our home to look like. And then we start working towards that realization of that picture. I know it's a simple example, but it's actually very powerful because this is the way you want to operate with anything in life. So you first build a picture in your mind of what you want. Now we all have obstacles that we face, things that we would like to change or improve, but then we feel stuck. You see, if I would ask you, well, how would you change your life? Many people might have the response to that like, if I knew how to change my life, Renil, I wouldn't be coming to you to ask you. Well, that's true though, to a certain extent. But what I'm trying to do for people is help them use their own mind so they're not entirely dependent on other people, because you don't want to be dependent on me or any other coach for that matter, because at the end of the day, you yourself control your mind. So if you're facing an obstacle in life, as I like to say, you have to imagine the solution to your problem. Now this might seem tricky at first, because again the tendency might be that you're saying, if I knew the solution I wouldn't be asking or seeking help, Renil. And that's true, that's a valid response. However, your imagination should be directed in such a way that when you're facing an obstacle, you learn to contemplate the solution by simply asking yourself, what would be the polar opposite of the problem I'm facing? Now really consider this. If your problem is financial in nature, if you're in debt or you have financial issues, well that's a problem, right? What's the solution to debt? Well, it would be more money, right? So you could pay off whatever you're still needing to pay off, the thing that you're having an issue with. So what happens then, and what we're trying to do here with our consciousness, is redirect it towards the solution itself. So instead of focusing on the financial issues you're facing physically right now, you start to build a concept in your imagination of its solution, and by adding energy to that, by energy we mean by putting focus on the solution itself, well that is how you start attracting the ideas that you would need in order to create the solution in the physical world, to make it manifest for you in your reality. Again, go back to the example of changing your home around. You see it in a way you don't like it. Well, the way to change it is by having a different image of the sort of home that you want to have. Then you start working towards it. It's so simple, of course, but with bigger goals, suddenly we're sort of reluctant to try it out. We're reluctant to apply the same principle, yet it is the only principle working in your life. Your imagination is always throwing itself into form. So what sort of obstacle are you facing right now? And ask yourself, what would be the polar opposite of the obstacle you're facing? Open your mind. Let it flow in. Let yourself entertain the idea of its polar opposite, and then you have the first step that you should take by using your imagination in order to change your reality around. Now what comes after that? Once you contemplate the solution to your problems, whatever they are. Well, the second step of that is to really zoom in on that solution mentally through imagination and analyze it for yourself. By analyzing it, you start to see smaller and smaller details to the solution, and it starts to become more and more possible for you. At least, if it seems like a huge obstacle that you need to overcome, it might be intimidating. But again, by analyzing the solution through your imagination, you actually make it easier and less intimidating for yourself. And you make it easier for you to believe that you can achieve it. Now that is what I do in my own life. If I'm facing something that is bothering me, and that seems to repeat itself in my world, I know I have to change the concept of my own mind that I have about that area in my life. So instead of focusing on what's bothering me so much, I'm like, what would be the polar opposite? What would be the solution to this issue? The more you train yourself and your mind and your imagination to start entertaining such concepts, the better you become at it and the easier it becomes. So the first issue people face is because they haven't trained their minds at all, if ever, to really direct it willingly and consciously, it might seem hard. That's why we want to ask ourselves, what's the polar opposite to our problems? It's a very simple thing to do. Again, ask yourself, what is the polar opposite to any problem you face? And you'll start to get an idea of it, at least. That's a start. Now, how does it change your reality around? Well, by simply clearly remembering that the concept you hold in your imagination will ultimately dictate both consciously and subconsciously your behavior. It starts to influence the ideas that you're working with, and those new ideas will ultimately help you shift your reality around. It's such a, if we really think about it, it's such an obvious thing once you really grasp it. It's like, how come I never did this throughout my life? Because many people will face that. They're like, this sounds so simple, almost to the point there's got to be more to it than that. There isn't more to it than that. The problem we all face is the programming of our own consciousness. The habitual way of living that we're facing is usually to our detriment and not to our benefit. But by learning to use your consciousness and imagination specifically, willingly, to focus simply on the solutions to everything you face in life, well then you can start growing towards it. That's the beautiful part about it. So imagination is a hidden power of your own consciousness that can change your reality around. Why? Because you have the ability and the free will to choose to which ideas you'll consent throughout your lives. Are they good ideas or bad ideas? Sadly, for most people, they work with bad and limiting ideas and they just accept them. They don't really consider its polar opposite to their problems. Once you start doing this, once you take this serious, again, analyze it in your life. What are you facing? And instead of being shocked and intimidated by the obstacles that might be in front of you, start focusing on its solution. And you are the one that's going to have to do it. I can't do it for you. Likewise, you can't focus on the solution for me. You could, of course, give me ideas if you would know my obstacles. If I could personally talk to you and hear about your obstacles, I could help you focus on the solution. But ultimately, it's up to us ourselves to stay focused on the solution so it can expand and grow and manifest as our reality. The hidden power of imagination. It's a beautiful concept, one that I would hope most of humanity slowly but surely grasps, but usually it happens on an individual level. That's what you're doing right now. You're expanding your level of awareness concerning what you're capable of doing. Well, the hidden power of your imagination can also be used in this manner. I wrote it down. If you don't feel greatness concerning the work you do, you'll also never feel properly motivated to work on it or attract the ideas and resources you need and get better at it. So in imagination, always see great things for yourself and the work you do, and for the most part, that has to be the mental foundation you operate from. Now, what is the mental state that you're operating from on a daily basis? Have you analyzed this? Because for most people, you know something? It's a very negative state of mind. Sadly, it's true. They're just focusing on all the limits, the limitations that they're observing in their world. Yet your imagination gives you that ability to also focus on something that lies entirely beyond your current reality. So the obstacles you face are part of your current reality. The solution lies beyond your current reality, and once you bring that closer into view and start analyzing that solution within your consciousness, well, then it turns into what I always like to call a roadmap. It gives you a clear indication of what needs to be done in order for you to shift everything around for the better. Now, most people, again, don't do this. Hopefully you're starting to do it. If not, maybe one day, but it's better to start now than tomorrow, because, you know, tomorrow you're going to probably be like, oh, I'll start tomorrow, and it goes on and on and on, and before you know it, you never really try to apply the power of your own consciousness, which is sadly the way it goes for most people. Now, I also wrote the following. You may feel like you don't want to be here, facing the circumstances and limitations that you're now experiencing, that it wasn't your choice. But in the experience of being awake and asleep, the awareness of immortality is established through direct experience of these two parts in the dimension of time and space. We discover the only thing is in existence is our own awareness of being, throwing itself into concepts of good and evil. This world won't be like a prison to you forever, because that's how it might feel to you right now if you're stuck in limitations. If you but try to grasp that your own awareness of being is the ultimate reality, directing all that you shall perceive for aeons to come. It won't be a horrible experience any longer once you learn to direct your mind at will through the divine power of your imagination. So what we want to become aware of is that imagination is part of spiritual sensation. Spiritual sensation is a form of activity within consciousness that doesn't deal necessarily with the physical world as it is right now. Your senses keep you locked into this reality. So you're facing obstacles, the part of your current reality, your senses are showing them to you. But you want to walk away. You want to go beyond your sensory and start invoking your spiritual senses, which are not bound by time and space at all. So this might all sound a little too metaphysical, a little too spiritual, too little crazy at first for most people, but ultimately that's what goals and dreams are. You know, you see an obstacle, you face obstacles in life, automatically you have a desire to overcome it somewhere within your consciousness. However, if the desire isn't given the attention it would need in order for it to manifest, well, that's when we're staying stuck. Because where is our attention most of the time? It's always focused on the sensory impressions, on the obstacles we now face. So again, in order to change your reality around, you're going to have to invoke the power of your own imagination. And it's a divine power. It sets you free. If you would but just put in the effort to focus your mind on solutions instead of obstacles, on the polar opposite of the obstacle. Try it out for yourself. Start working at it today, because once you start working at it, you'll get better at it, and once you get better at it, it becomes easier, and once stuff becomes easier, well, your whole world starts to change around permanently, because then every time you will face an obstacle, you know, I don't like this reality that I'm seeing right now, I don't like these limitations that I'm experiencing, so let me change the concepts around in my imagination so I have something to work towards, something better, something greater. We're working with metaphysical ideas, things that can't necessarily be touched or grabbed physically, where it's like, let me grab the imagination for you and put it in front of you so you can look at it and you're like, oh, I can see the solutions now, or Neil, thanks. No, I can't do that for you. It all happens within your own consciousness. Your consciousness, your awareness of being is the only thing you actually really possess in this life. Think about it. Everything else are physical objects, circumstances, events, things happening around you. but you want to become aware of what is happening around you and how it is influencing your unconsciousness. And then as you become aware of how it is actually affecting you, you can decide to stop it. You're like, I don't want to live in limitations any longer. I don't want to live in doubts, worries, and fears any longer. So I'm going to build the concept. I'm going to work on the solution, first and foremost within my consciousness, so then I can manifest it. Trust me, it works. How do you create anything in this world? How do you improve anything in this world? Again, by first having a clear picture in your mind, a clear vision of where you want to go with your life. So the hidden power of your imagination is that it can set you free. It can help you grow beyond any obstacle you face, as long as you trust in imagination. In a way, I think Neville once pointed this out. You might want to start out with pretending your imagination is someone else. Like, the power of your own imagination is like a different version of yourself that you're observing. What we mean by that is, again, if you have the solution of any obstacle you face in life and you see it within your imagination, it's like a different version of yourself, like a different person existing within your own consciousness. Now you want to sort of become one, embrace that different version of yourself so it becomes part of you, and then you automatically start expressing the solution to your problem. Again, most people, they get stuck. You know where they get stuck? I'll tell you where they get stuck. Where we all get stuck at times if we don't watch out. We get stuck because we don't know how to do something. So you're facing a problem right now, you don't know how to fix it right away. You can admit this for yourself, I'm sure you can. You have these issues in life and you're like, I want to change it, I don't know how. Renil, I don't know how. I would say, I don't know how to freaking change this around. I don't know how from my current level of awareness. But through imagination, I can raise my awareness. Through the imagination, you put yourself mentally beyond the limiting viewpoint that you have through your senses. Really think about it. If you keep practicing your imaginative powers, it all starts to make a lot of sense. This is how I improved my life. This is how I see others improve their lives. They may have started out with nothing. Then they discovered the hidden power of their imagination, which set them free. They realized they could vision themselves. They could imagine themselves right into the state of their fulfilled desires. And once they did that, regardless of their physical world, they became the embodiment, literally, physically, of what once was but a fantastic dream within their own consciousness. And you can do the same. So this is something we always have to bear in mind. On a daily basis, you have to reach a point where you realize with my imagination, all things become possible, because imagination doesn't know any limits. You can imagine whatever you want. So instead of focusing your conscious attention on the obstacles you face throughout your life, you want to start embracing your imagination. You want to start having fun using it by deliberately focusing and imagining the solution, the freedom, whatever you want, so you can start to become one with that concept, first and foremost in consciousness, because ultimately the body is the instrument of your mind. You could say the body is the instrument of your imagination. Your imagination, the non-physical part of yourself, will express itself through this body throughout your lifetime. The concepts you build in your mind will always express themselves somehow, sooner or later. So make sure you work with good concepts. So to condense this all, if you are facing an insurmountable obstacle in your life, you don't know how to overcome it, don't focus on it. Instead, what's the polar opposite to the obstacle? If it's a financial goal, focus on wealth. By focusing on wealth, you can attract the ideas you need in order to get there. At least it keeps your mind focused in the right direction, so you stay motivated to make it happen. If it's relationship troubles, if your relationship is bad, focus on the polar opposite. See a great relationship in your consciousness and then let it express itself in and as your life. Start acting on that greatness, on those great ideas that you do want for yourself and your relationship. If it's health issues, now, if you're seeing a doctor, keep seeing them, because they can at least focus on the physical part for you, but you can always still apply the freedom that you have through imagination to see yourself healthy. Because ultimately, health is very determined by your emotional state, how you feel. The worse you feel, the sicker and the quicker the body gets sick. The greater you feel, the more healthier the cells in your body also will be. It literally responds to that energetic vibration that you invoke through your emotional states. So make no mistake about it, you can do this. Even if you're terribly sick, you still have the freedom to see yourself healthy and fit. And if you keep applying this, odds are it's going to change your reality around. If it can't, well, the good news is your life is eternal anyway. So if the body still has to drop, if it has to pass on, don't worry about it, because your consciousness is going to stay alive. Because the only thing you ever have is your awareness of being. And we want to discover that we can direct our own awareness of being, so that even in the non-physical realms of life, you'll still be able to experience all the joy that you could ever wish for to enjoy. But if we're unconscious, if we don't direct our minds willingly through the power of imagination, we'll never discover that we did have that power, that control. This was shown to me through lucid dreams. I would wake up in a dream world, realize I have a different body, and everything I could ever want was instantly fulfilled. But usually we're unconscious when we're dreaming, so we're not exercising that God-given divine power that exists within us. Now we can also use that same power in this dimension of time and space. The difference being, because things seem to move so much slower, they don't manifest instantly, but as long as we hold on to the solution, to the vision of fulfilled desires, well, we're building our way towards our own redemption. It will redeem us. It will restore what we have seemed to lost. It will bring us towards the solution to all of our problems, as long as we stay focused in the right way within our own minds. The hidden power of imagination. Nothing greater can be said to a person than to tell them, than to help them show that no matter what we're facing, you have a power to see a solution. Now, you might not instantly see the solution. Even if you contemplate the polar opposite to your problem, you might not instantly see the solution right away. But by just carefully considering it, no matter what you're facing, you're like, okay, this is what I'm facing. What will be the polar opposite? And you start to get ideas if you put in the effort, if you put in the energy, if you put your attention on it, if you're willing to do the work. What is the work that you need to do? It's all inner work. The rest will take care of itself. If you're mentally in harmony with the good you desire, well, you'll always be inspired to act on it subconsciously. You don't really have to consciously wonder too much about what you're supposed to be doing, because you'll notice your mind is going to work with you. Your own imagination is going to show you the way. It's going to bring you to the solution to all of your problems. Now, that is the beauty. That is the hidden power of your imagination, through which you can change your reality around. You want to understand the physical world is a construction of imagination. If you can accept this premise, if you truly accept this premise, well, then you realize anything you face is in your total control. If you don't like it, you can change it around. How? By using your imagination, by working with visions of fulfilled desires, instead of by obsessing with the world of limitation through your senses alone. That's how we've been trained, to live through our senses. Now, the senses are good to make sure you don't get into trouble or to hurt yourself, stuff like that. But the problem is we also use it to keep ourselves locked into limitations. Now, the imagination within you is that part of your consciousness that can set you free. I hope you understand what I'm trying to convey here. Again, if you go back to the beginning of the video, you want to change your home around, you build a picture. You want to change your life around, you got to build a picture of the change that you desire to see in your physical world. And once you see that picture, simply enjoy it. You got to feel as if you've already achieved what you want. So if you found the solution to your problem through your imagination, which anybody can if they apply it, well, then you got to feel as if you've already achieved it. And as you keep that feeling alive within yourself, it's going to compel everything that needs to be done in order for you to go there physically. The bridge of incidents will occur, across which you walk towards the fulfillment of your own imaginary states. And previous videos already indicated, again through different angles, how we can do this. So even if this video is hard for you to grasp, combine all these videos together and aim them all towards your greatest dreams that you still want to achieve in your world. Then you'll discover that yes, you do have the power to change your reality around. And the beautiful part about it is that the power resides within you, so you can apply it wherever you stand. It doesn't matter where you are in life physically. All you need is your own mind, your own imagination, and you have one. Now use it. Okay, there you go. Again, the only thing you have to realize and take serious for yourself is the fact that even though you have obstacles that might be insurmountable at first, they might seem like it, you want to redirect your mind towards its polar opposite. You want to start contemplating what would be the solution to the problem that I'm facing though. So again, if it's a financial issue you're having, debts that need to be paid off, well, you know exactly how much you're in debt. So what would be the solution? Well, paying it off. Well, how much money you need? You start focusing on that within your consciousness. And as you become one with that solution, the ways for its fulfillment will come to you. Now you have to understand, you gotta act as if you already have it. So in the case of money, you gotta act as if you already had the money you need in order to pay off your debts. And once you become really consumed by that, both mentally and emotionally, then imagination will bring you all the ideas and resources you need in order for you to make that a reality. Don't underestimate it, but this can only be proven if you start experimenting with it, if you really take it serious and start working with it. Because most people, sadly, they don't want to take it serious. They listen to it, they might like the idea, but then they don't apply it. Make sure you apply these ideas. Make sure you start experimenting for yourself, because it's the only way for you to discover the true divine power of imagination. No matter how much I or anybody else would talk about it, your own experience is what will really prove to you that it's true, that you have this hidden power within you that can set you free. Now, with that being said, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.